Yes, we are here with Ritchie Randall of Gravehuffer. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Joe. How are you?
Oh, aside from a few technical difficulties, been doing pretty good, man. Been doing pretty good.
Right.
Got a chance to listen to this new album you got going on, man. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Right. Kind of went out on a limb a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, you could say that, man.
Yeah.
I got man, I took a bunch of notes because a bunch of things like like when you the first listen through, it's all very new,
Right.
so it's like you're trying to take it all in, and then you listen to it like the second and the third time all the way through, and then you start picking up on it's like okay, yep, all right, I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
Um, now, uh, first off, this is quite the concept thing you got going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it starts out what is um what would this be like a plane crash?
Um, the first song is that like the blueprint for an early grave.
Yeah,
You're
like
talking
it
about?
comes in
Yeah.
with the bellowing horns and
Yeah.
and it seems like something's going on.
Right. Um, kind. The first five songs are kind of their own thing. I mean, it's the blueprint for an early grave. Basically, what that amounts to is people. We were born, we grow up, we go to school all this time, education to work ourselves to death, and that's basically what the song's about. And but yeah, it starts out with it's actually a Swedish, um, I think a war siren or something, a bomb siren. That's
Right?
what that's
Yeah, it's
that's Sweden's bomb siren. That's where we got that.
that's
And
ominous as hell, man.
yeah, I know. We were trying to find some different like bomb sirens because we wanted it to be intense, and we heard that one. I'm like, ooh, it's fucking creepy, man. So we went with that, and then we got these sounds of people just working themselves to death, and then there's a guy just cursing away in the toward the end of that whole section there, and he hates his life. He's fucking cocksucker.
I
Dude, we were dying when we were recording this shit. It was hilarious. And then me and Travis, we come in there and we're just saying a bunch of stuff and about not being able to feed your family, no matter how many jobs you have. But
right.
that was like that was basically Travis's song. Like he brought that whole thing in. Pretty much the music and the lyrics and everything. So
Now, when you started this idea, I remember you talking about it in chat, and you were like, "Wouldn't it be cool if you had a song that took up the whole side of a record?"
yeah.
So, is is that part of what this whole idea was born from, and then it kind of steamrolled into this, or was it the like the Dante's Inferno type aspect came first?
Yeah, that came first. Actually, we can kind of go back a little bit on that.
Yeah,
The whole Dante thing, I mean, it's got a different drummer, and like we recorded that. Gosh, it's been a year and a half ago, probably. So
yeah,
it's been sitting around for a little bit, and so when we initially were going to release it as part of a split, that's what we were going to do,
right.
and we were going to let's do a split with another band. Well, for whatever reason, it just didn't work out with the couple other bands we were talking to, and I can't remember why, but anyway, it's neither here nor there. So we
Right.
decided, well, shit, we need to write some more material. So the first five songs, some of them were things that we kind of had. I don't want to say, lying around, I guess if you want to call it that, but a lot of it was stuff that we wrote specifically to go with the record. And I can't remember if it was me or one of the guys said, wouldn't it be cool if everybody in the band kind of like wrote kind of like a solo song. Like, so it's
Right.
basically like the members of Gravehuffer each having a solo song that they wrote every aspect of it, and then Gravehuffer, performed it basically.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the first half of the record, more or less. And then there's a song, the last song on the first side, "Go Burn Her, Pray and Die." That's an old song from one of Mike's old bands, and we just took it and kind of did the Gravehuffer thing to it.
Yeah, it's neat because it there's like, now that you mention that, it really kind of, because there's songs in there that they have like the vibe, like that crusty punk Gravehuffer vibe, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's Gravehuffer punk, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. Right,
and
exactly.
and
Yeah,
like reminiscent of like Shut Up and Skate type vibes, and
sure.
those tunes that go in that kind of, that vein. But then there's like the other ones that have like these breakdowns where it starts out one way and then it goes into a totally different song almost. By the time you're done
Right.
with it, you're in a whole nother place than where you started.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like, yeah, the Cryptid song. I can,
yeah,
yeah, that one kind of makes me think it's got two completely, well, almost more than that's. That's Mike's one, Mike's song, and
okay,
he's got this whole story about it, and about Bigfoot being taken by the government. He escapes the government. He's running from. That's how the song starts. It's kind of like Star Wars Episode 4. This starts kind of at the middle of the story,
right,
and so this whole Cryptid Ironbird thing, it's going to keep going through, you know, consecutive albums or whatever.
right.
So we'll be continuing that story.
Running theme.
It's a running theme, yeah.
Now the yeah, there's a lot of old school stuff that because now that makes sense, because there's like a
Yeah.
lot of old school vibes
Yeah.
that go from before the self-titled Gravehuffer album.
Right.
Now one of the other things that I noticed is there's a now are we got some reoccurring guests here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because some of this guitar work, man, is way cool, and the way you guys place it and put it in there too is very cool. Where these solos and stuff have a life of their own. They're almost a character in the
Right.
in the song of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I did all the solos except one.
Really,
Yeah.
which one is the guest one?
It's at the end of Inferno, the one that sounds like it's through this weird harmonizer thing.
Like almost like robotics or whatever.
Yeah, it's very weird. That one, Coran Murphy did, the guy that builds my amp. It's the guy that builds my
Nice.
amps, and then he was in Annihilator and Nevermore. He did the Stronger Than Death solo, the song about Andre on
Right.
Android Eclosion.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense now. So I
Yeah.
was like, some of the solo work sounding familiar. I bet they got some,
Right. Yeah.
So
I
that's
totally
real
see
cool.
that.
Yeah, you got some really cool things. I love the way you guys put a lot of like the solos in there and stuff, because a lot of times there's a lot of Gravehuffer tunes that they don't have room for that even. They
Yeah, exactly.
and so it is noticeable when they're put in there, and I like how you've, like I said, they have like this little life of their own, like and well, we can go right into this. The song depart from so much evil. Now
Yeah.
this I had written so much about this, because there's a lot of cool different vibes. But one of the biggest things that I noticed about it, listening to it, like by the third time, I was like, what this is reminding me, because I'm like, man, what is this whole thing like reminding me of? And I'm like, it's right in front of me. I'm like, it's so reminiscent of like the form that like operatic type stuff would take, or a rock opera would take. It has this whole big like story arc to it, and
Right.
things going. It's like I could picture this being performed on a stage with actors, and
Right.
it's
Yeah.
really, man, it's just especially when you get to the whole middle part of it. And I mean, well, first off, man, it's like you got these Black Sabbath vibes going on. It's like,
Right.
whoa. And then all of a sudden the King Diamond hits. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Of course, we gotta have that in there.
yeah,
We always gotta have that sprinkled in there.
I said that too. I was like, of course.
There it is.
There it is. But yeah, and then it goes into this, like, I mean, not for nothing, because the song is so long. It's not like you're repeating the same thing. There's like, multiple songs worth of stuff in here that just,
Right.
and it all, none of it, feels forced. It all, one marries right into the other. But yeah, it's one of those things where that you're gonna listen to this song like 20 times, and every time you hear it, you're gonna be like, "Wow, I never heard that."
Heard that before?
Yeah.
I still am that way. I'm like, hey, I never noticed that. I mean,
Wow.
and I fucking recorded the damn thing.
When did we do
It's
that?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, where'd that come from? Yeah, it's weird.
That it's way cool. Now I remember when you guys put the call out for the for like screams and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I was wondering how that was. I like the way that all that was implemented. Very very freaky. It's that you did it perfectly, where it's enough to get under your skin in that good way. It's like it really sticks with you for a minute. And
yeah, that's like the part where it's like, throw the headphones on, because man, we had so many tracks of just weird noises and people talking and screaming, and Tommy from Black Doomba Records and his drummer Dennis did all this percussion, and if you listen, you can hear like tambourine and triangle and all this weird shit.
No shit.
And yeah, it's fucking nuts. And Tommy recorded 3 or 4 tracks of bass guitar that sounds like an organ, and it's freaking nuts, man. There was like over 100 tracks of stuff. We had to like mix down bits of this thing in sections because Mike's computer was bogging down. So
I'll bet. I was wondering because
we had to like really carefully mix this thing because it definitely took a lot of time.
yeah, I was wondering because just listening to it, with my producer cap on, I'm thinking, man, there's a lot of tracks here. There's a lot of stuff going on and just things, and then plus when you add in effects and all the piled stuff, that it's like, I can see why you'd have to do it in sections. It was
pretty crazy.
About how long did it take all in all from start to finish? I mean, did you come back to it, put it down, or was it a solid?
Yeah, we came back to it, and kind of we would listen to it on different stereos and take it to let different close friends listen to it, take it to different people's houses and people that we knew wouldn't say anything about it, but and listen to it on multiple sets of headphones, and it's weird because like I never got sick of it. It was always because I would always hear new things,
right?
And so we would take notes, and like we were real meticulous with this, and the final mix was probably one of the ones that changed the most because we had a mix that we were all happy with, and then Mike took it to a friend of ours' house. He's got these clips, like he had to take a loan out to get these speakers. They're so badass.
Yeah.
And
I think I know the exact speakers you're talking about.
Yeah, dude, it's freaking ridiculous. But he had it turned up so loud that you could kind of hear into the mix, if that makes sense.
Right. Yep.
Like it was so like all encompassing, and we're like, man, what is all that weird? Like there was just some weird frequencies in there, and so Mike really
colliding frequencies. You think?
Yeah, he did all the mixing pretty much, and the bass player, and we recorded at his house, and we got the basement converted into a drum room.
Right.
And the control room is his bedroom, but we've got it all. We've got the mixing desk in there. It's an old analog mixing desk from the 70s.
Sweet.
An old Panasonic. And we got all these acoustic tiles and stuff in there, and all this foam baffling and all this stuff.
Right.
And spent a lot of money on it. But so that's where we track guitars and bass and vocals. Anyway, getting back to the mix, he took out some parts, and then when we listened to the mix everybody has now, it just kind of cleaned everything up a little bit. It was like we overdid it a little.
Yeah,
there was like keyboard parts in there that you couldn't really hear, but when you had it up so loud, it just kind of sounded like noise, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So we just took out some of these little bells and whistles here and there, and it just made it sound fuller. It was kind of weird. Sometimes more is not more, So.
Well, sometimes what's happening is you get these frequencies that are partly canceling each other out, and then what's left is this weirdness, and that's that's
that was it.
I can imagine.
It was just like it was just taken away more than it was adding to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, and it's crazy how different perspectives can really make it better for you as far as like listening, because we're just mixing on studio monitors, and
right, yeah,
and sometimes you just don't get the full picture, or you don't really understand the listener's perspective, so you got to test it on all kinds of stuff.
I've never understood the way. I mean, I get it, but it always, nowadays they have like these presets that they have on some monitors where they try to emulate what other stereos will sound like and stuff.
Right.
They got, and they're trying, but I've never understood why the studio monitors aren't more like what actual people are going to listen to it through.
Exactly. Me too, man. We're always talking about it.
It's like, why? Why is there two different things here?
Right, yeah.
Why should I have to go listen to it on a stereo? Why can't I have those stereo speakers?
Yeah, right, yeah. That is real. We bitch about that a lot. Like, well, okay, it sounds good here. Well, let's go listen to it in here. We listen to it in people's cars. And
time to go get disappointed. Great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's usually what happens, Or it would be like, wow, this is even cooler here. Or, it was kind of both. But,
well, you guys...
most of the time it was like, we need to do something here or there.
Well, you guys also... and I could see how this gets a little tricky, too, because... You guys also played with a lot more strings and horns in this one, it feels like. There was quite a lot in the last album. I thought, it's like seems like every time you play with the horns, there's more and more. And, you're finding new ways to do it, which is cool.
Right.
But, yeah, a lot of different horns and strings and a lot of cool melodies, man, with those things. Very cool. Haunting stuff that sticks with you, and a lot of stuff it's like, Tony Iommi wishes you wrote this, like type stuff, really.
Yeah, seriously, like, I mean, he's one of my biggest influences. I mean, that's just, all there is to it. He was the king of writing simple but effective.
That's who I always emulated growing up. He was it basically for me.
Right. And it was so effective, how the notes he picked or didn't play,
right?
How it works, it's all about invoking a mood,
right?
And, that's kind of what we were trying to do. So it's
not what you play; it's how you play it. Thing he perfected.
Yeah, really, it is. And now we got to figure out how to. We got to learn all this shit now. We're gonna play it live.
And now I know that's one of the things I was thinking too. I was like, man, they're gonna have to put a lot of like, or have somebody running a synth or something and doing something.
We're talking about that. I mean, we're throwing everything out there. Like that's all we've been doing the last 2 or 3 weeks. Travis, Mike, and I is figuring out how we're gonna get this to work. You know, there's parts that even on some of the older, like Mad Wolf, for instance, it's got horns. Like I'm playing the horn melody on guitar now.
Right.
Because,
well, I can understand ways that you could strip it down or change things around enough so the song is still the song to everybody, but they're,
Exactly. Yeah, and so I'm playing these weird chords I'd never play because it was written with horn, and so I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. So it's almost like learning a new style.
That's awesome.
When you transpose it that way. And so that's what we're going to try to do.
Right.
But Travis he plays keyboards, so we're trying to figure out how to incorporate that as well, So we'll figure it out. But the whole Dante thing we probably won't do right now.
Right.
We're gonna probably play Inferno, and then like a couple of the songs on the first half of the record too.
Right.
So,
right. I can understand that totally.
Yeah, we got a lot to figure out. So.
Ease into it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we want to do it right if we're going to do it.
Right. I mean, because there's a lot there, and I mean, just in length alone. I mean, you're talking. Let's be for real, man. Some people's whole sets are 20 minutes. You'll be doing that straight without stopping.
Yeah. It's like, how do we tackle the purgatory section? Like
yeah.
What do you do there?
Do you just shorten it up a little bit? Cut it out or what, Yeah,
or what do we do? Like, there's 3 notes in the song, in that section. There's 3 notes. But there's all this stuff going on. So
right.
It's like, how do we even attempt that? So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, regardless.
I know there's an instrument I used to have. It's like a drum pad, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Roland makes one, like an SBD, and you can load different samples or whole things onto this, so the drummer just has to hit this pad and it will be like a whole symphony sample that starts or clicks out or whatever. Gives the drummer a little bit more use. That's what like Tool uses a lot. Like a lot of times when you're hearing synth and stuff like that, that's being run by Danny Carey. It's crazy.
And it talks to a brain. And Neil Peart did that too.
Yeah,
they have these weird like sounds and stuff coming out of it. He plays them. He plays this. He's still playing it.
Neil was the first time I'd ever seen one of them drum synths with the big, huge, like wide keys things that they hit, and it almost looks like a piano setup because it's trying to emulate that, but they're doing it all with the drumsticks. Way cool. But
it's still a percussive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So so now you were at this moment at doing the interview. We're in the waiting phase. Everything's been turned in. Is now this new cover that you got on your your social media there, is that going to be the cover, or is that just a piece of art to kind of hint at?
Oh yeah, that's just something we were playing around with as far as like.
It's way cool.
Yeah, thanks. That was something that it's kind of a combination of like AI art and regular art,
Yeah.
And we're just combining some different mediums, and we're trying to come up with like a new Gravehuffer logo kind of thing, and something to basically represent the band as an image.
Right.
And so that's basically all that is. The new cover is like nothing like that. It's an actual painting.
Oh, way cool.
And it's actually, there's 2 paintings that were done there's a front and back cover, and it's freaking wild. It's the same guy that did Necroeclosion in Your Fall, Eric Sweet.
Oh, cool. So He
actually does some narration on the Dante thing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's him speaking. So I was like, man, it'd be cool to have him narrate, because we was like, we thought it'd be cool to pull some the actual lines from the book to throw in there to kind of set up each section.
I was wondering if that was a sample or something that you found somewhere, or if you actually had somebody doing it. So that's him reading off all that stuff?
Yeah. Yep.
That's way
Yeah,
cool.
right. Yeah, he came in. He actually visited and came to town one day and recorded all that.
That's
Pretty fun.
awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Well, it's cool when you get to, people that have been a part of the process for, years or whatever here and
Right.
there. It's cool when you get to incorporate them because, at the end of the day, it's like this big family operation,
Right. Yeah, it is. It is. It's like it's like the Gravehuffer family. Like we know so many people that we've collaborated with. And to me, that I think it just adds to it, and that's the thing. We want it to add to what we're doing. And I feel like every collaboration we've ever done, like, definitely adds a different thing to it than we could provide.
Right. Well, you know, this, since I've first met you guys, I've watched, the progression, and you guys always, are doing something different or leveling up or, just trying something new. And, oh, what if Gravehuffer did this? And what if and that's, and that's what's, we've talked about this before about, bands that, um, try to rehash, what they had on a previous album or whatever, or, oh, everybody liked this, let's just do that over again. And,
Right.
And then you also got like, major labels that tell bands, just make that album again.
Right.
Like
That
different.
was a hit. Let's just do that again.
Yeah, just do the same
Yeah.
thing, except different.
Right. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Don't plagiarize yourself, but just real close.
Real close. Right. Yeah.
Use different words or something. But,
Yeah. Just change the riff, play it backwards.
yeah. Hey, AC/DC did that a few times.
I know.
They were great at it, though.
Like, yeah. I actually like the last couple of AC/DC records a lot.
Well, Angus has always, he's been another one that, as far as like rock guitarists, it was always Angus Young and Joe Perry. They were, and then I mostly emulated Tony with my playing and stuff. But
Yeah.
in my head, I also wanted to be like those guys.
Right, yeah. Honestly, you pick up a guitar and then you play certain things, and you go back to those players that basically, formulated who
Right.
you are,
Inspired.
And yeah, exactly.
So, what have you got for plans now? When do you think the release will be? Because I know you got some tricky things going on with,
Right, yeah, that's a little frustrating, but we're gonna have to release it in two different, sections basically.
Right.
The first release is gonna be the CD, digital, all that.
Right.
And that's March.
Okay.
Sometime in March, I think. That's basically the last thing I've heard. Because we're gonna start doing our shows and start, doing our little mini tours and stuff in March.
That's
And
my next
so-
question was.
Yeah, I mean, so like, we're gonna really be. We've been working really hard on changing the set list and
Right.
incorporating new songs, incorporating stuff from Necroeclosion that we didn't get to. So it's we're throwing Mad Wolf in there and Ghost Dance and stuff that we've always wanted to play, but due to the drummer situation, it's been kind of difficult. But we're slowly figuring out how to work around all that stuff.
Right.
And, we finally made the decision. We're just Todd's our drummer, and so
Right.
that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna stick with him, and he's very committed, and we've had conversations, and we just gotta kind of change how we do things a little bit, just because of the distance, and that's fine.
Right.
It works, and he's a phenomenal drummer, and we can't wait to play all this new stuff. And we were talking in band chat the other day about how difficult this set is and how we're all struggling together to get everything down, because this set's way more difficult than the last one we were playing. Like, we definitely picked some doozies.
Well,
But
through this,
I mean, that's part of it, man.
through this whole new album, that's like one of the only things I could think about through this. Like, how the hell, because you got now. I can see like, okay, acoustic. I can just play clear for a minute. I don't need to actually bring the acoustic out and then switch off. It would be cool, but
Right.
I don't need to to do the acoustic and stuff. So there's little there are a lot of little things that you can emulate or do in a different way. But then there's other things I'm like, how are they gonna do that?
Yeah, I know. I mean, and then there's some songs on. There's a couple things in there that's like the fastest shit we've ever done, man.
Right? Yeah.
Like there's some of these blast parts. I'm like, holy shit, dog. Because he was like, I don't know how the hell I recorded that. like there's like 250 beat per minute plus like blast beats and shit. I'm like,
well,
geez, dude.
What was it? Shoot, what song is it here? Yeah, it's number 5. Right before the total ascent into madness.
Yeah.
That I noticed really fast, really tight, and it's like right on, everything feels, I don't know how to explain this, but you know how like punk or crusty can have that little bit of leeway, or everything, has a little bit of muddiness, because it's not exactly perfect. Or this
Right.
has more real tight feeling, and
Right.
it gives it that much more of a different sound than it's way cool. I was like, holy shit. And that was one of the ones. That was one of the ones too where I was like, is this a guest solo, or
Oh yeah, that was me.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, I was like, wow, man, if this is him, this is intense. This is way cool. I'm really liking the way the effects and everything in the which it's cool because it marries like prior solo stuff, like when you had what's his name from Voivod and
Oh yeah,
stuff.
Chewy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was reminiscent of stylistic like that. That's what it, and I was like, is this, that's way cool. Loving the solos, dude.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I was like,
Spe-
part of the whole reason. Well, I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna word this, but part of the reason we would ask for contributions was, one, we just think it'd be cool to do.
Right.
2, I never felt confident enough to do it. So
right. I remember
you
you
know,
saying that. And
I'm not a solo player, but Mike's like, dude, just do it. I mean, I gotta thank Mike for really pushing me on this record to play solos.
yeah,
And he
that's
was
cool.
like, you ready to rip this solo? I'm like, what? I was so not like prepared, and I
What?
really think that helped, honestly, because all that stuff's like really off the cuff, and I mean, it was weird. Like, I can't say it's totally off the cuff because we would start like, okay, this is where we want to start, and this is where we want to end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we would have a target, but then whatever happens in between, man, just let it go, and that's kind of how it went.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I played that solo on that Go Murder, Pray and Die, the one you're talking about. I played it on some old Fender J Mascis guitar that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and actually, my middle child's got that exact guitar, but the one I played it on was a friend of Mike's son's. He just happened to have the guitar there, and he goes, "You want to play a solo on this today?" I'm like, "Huh?"
Sure.
Like, I just walked in. I'm like, "Well, shit. I guess this is what we're doing today." And so, yeah, I honestly think that if it weren't for Mike, that stuff would not be on the record because I'm not the one pushing to do solos.
Right.
It's nerve wracking for me, and I'm starting to get more comfortable with it because there are some Gravehuffer songs I play a couple solos on, but like a couple.
Right. Well,
it's not something I never have done too much.
Well, also at the same time too, there's these members in the band, and this is you're more of a rhythm centric guitarist, so it makes sense. Sure. You're focused on the riffs and
right,
all that. So and like I said earlier, like there's a lot of songs where a solo would kind of just feel forced. It's like these songs don't need solos.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I, for whatever reason, this album seemed to call for more solos.
I
don't
was
know
really
what it
surprised. I was like, wow, there was a lot more in here than I was expecting. Really got to give
Yeah.
it. I guess really got to give it to Mike because also that was another thing too. I noticed like a lot of tunes they had a lot of bass driven parts. A lot of times
Yeah.
where bass was carrying the like or one part of the song would stop and then the bass would come in with this whole other part kind of. You know what I'm talking?
Right.
That's yeah. I
Yeah.
always love that and. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
It's kind of that is interesting. I've never really thought of it that way. Like I feel like that this album has cool moments where everybody kind of shines.
right, yeah.
Like everybody kind of has their own kind of not spotlight, but you know what I mean. Like
It's so cool that you guys decided to let's everybody do one and then bring it
Yeah.
together. That's the way to do it too. It's
yeah, that was like. I don't know why I thought that was going to be a cool idea, but I was like, hey, let's try this. And that's usually the way we do things. Like,
right,
we'll just get this, like, weird idea and, like, hey, what if we did this? And I think that's why our stuff ends up being a little out of the box, I guess, because we never really have this big grand plan. Although Dante kind of was.
right.
But the way it turned out was totally not like what we were thinking, because that song, from writing to recording it, was probably about a year.
Right. Yeah, I know you guys were working on it for quite some time because we'd been talking about it in chat and all that for a while. I mean, I'd watched the pieces kind of come together for that, been wondering the whole time, like, what the hell are they working on in the lab here? Wow.
Yeah, right, yeah. Right? I mean, my phone, I've still got, like, probably 100 ideas that were for Dante.
That's wild.
Just for that song. I mean, it was unreal. I remember that that's probably spent 2 months just writing riffs.
That's so cool.
And, I remember very specifically sitting down and writing the riffs, and I'm glad it came out that way because I was super inspired by the Dante thing.
Right.
And so it was a super inspiring. And Mike and I have been wanting to do this for a long time. I remember we talked about this like when we were in a band in the late 90s.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how long this idea has been kind of banging around in our heads. So we thought, well, let's do this finally. I think it was just we felt like now was a good time because I don't know what it was that made us think now was the time to do it, but I guess it just felt right.
Well, it's cool that it, like a lot of songs do, but this being like a super uber song takes on a life of its own and grows into this thing that you couldn't even imagined at the beginning. It's like,
yeah, honestly, I just don't think back then we thought we had the chops to do it.
Well,
I think that's
obviously
what
you do.
Like now we thought, well, we not only have the experience of writing all this music, but we have all this recording equipment now. We have all these instruments at our disposal.
Right.
And we had just accumulated all this cool stuff. And I just got that 7-string guitar, and I was like, man, I've been really wanting one for so long. And I had all these ideas about how I wanted to use it. We were just really inspired. I think that's kind of why it happened when it did.
Right. That's so awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm glad because, like I said, I know you guys have been working on this for quite some time, and then while also working on this, you've been working on other things. I mean, you guys also have been releasing a couple singles for some covers, and you got a few things that have been going on since, and that doesn't even count like playing shows, touring, and all that, all during this time. So you've been pretty busy. I mean, I'd say you've been out straight with the whole process.
Yeah, honestly, like when we're not working our day jobs, it's pretty much wrapped up in doing band stuff, and it's like I think we're gonna actually take a break this weekend because
you've earned it.
Man, let's just take a breather, and so yeah, this weekend is usually every weekend. We were either doing something,
Right.
writing, recording,
A show.
just something, like working on artwork, preparing for shows, whatever.
Right.
And we decided this weekend we were going to take a break.
Yeah.
So
I can't blame you, man.
Yeah, let's recharge the batteries a little bit. But no, the covers. The reason we did the covers was, for one, we just thought, why not? Two, before we were told the CD was going to come out first, we were thinking the record and the CD were going to be released at the same time, like late summer of some next year or whatever.
Right.
And so we basically, we were like, man, we need to keep some material out there to kind of tide people over a little bit.
Right.
And so that's initially why we decided to do them. But now that the record's going to come out here in a couple months, it's just a bonus, I guess.
That's cool.
Just something fun to do. But we do have some stuff that we recorded the set list we've been playing for the last year or so with Todd, our new drummer.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, it's all recorded somewhat live, and we're going to put that out too.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be like not a live album, but kind of.
Well, they have these, I've been seeing a lot more of them where people or bands release what they call a live rehearsal.
Yes, that's basically what it is.
So you're all set up in the studio. You're not in front of a crowd, but you're
Right.
playing it live. It's just not in front of people per se.
Yeah. It's funny. We were actually talking about like doing like what was it, Kiss Alive, how they put the crowd noise in. And
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, supposedly it wasn't all live or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Like Typo Negatives, that Origin of Feces, like
Mhm.
that's not a live album. It's like they just recorded it in the
And
studio, but
yeah,
they put
well,
all the live stuff in there.
Wasn't it I thought it was, the story was or whatever, it was in a, well, what you read on the thing, wasn't it they're all in like a big warehouse-ish, or it's a studio called the Warehouse or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all in a big room, but yeah, they're not live in front of people.
Right, yeah. He's all the crowd noise in there. He's like, acts like he's talking to people. He's a real asshole, like
Yeah.
$15 American dollars. You get paid for this shit, I love that.
It's funny, I was just listening to some of that album the other day, too.
I love that album.
Oh.
Dude, I fucking think dude, Typo Negative, I think their humor went way over people's head.
Dude, yeah, some people didn't
know what
get
I mean?
any of their shit until years
they
later.
Right, yeah. It's like, dude, they're taking the piss out of a lot of that stuff,
And they would
Because
make
that's
fun of themselves a lot, too.
They made fun of themselves a lot. Like, you put the CD in and you think it was skipping.
Yeah. October Rust, and then they start laughing at you.
Yeah.
And then they thank you for buying the CD.
Right, yeah. We spent a couple months getting high working on that.
Yeah.
I think there's one you put it in and it just sounds like there's a bad cable or something,
Dude, and it's funny because I fell for it for a second. I cranked it right up and then it started skipping, and it was funny because I was like, oh man, come check out the new Typo Negative, because yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, that's real cool, dude. And then they all start laughing, and I like how it ends too, and he's like, well, there it is.
Suckers!
Yeah, suckers!
I love that, dude. Like, I was like, these guys are amazing. I mean, we thought about with these songs, like, wouldn't it be hilarious to put like crowd noise in there, but like real scattered crowd noise, like there's like 10 people there.
Yeah.
Like, just invite like 10 friends to the studio and just have them like heckle us and stuff. But we're still debating on that, but I'm gonna push for it because I think that would be fucking hilarious. But
it'd be awesome, and it pays homage to all them older quote unquote live albums.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we all grew up with them. Why not? So.
Exactly. Let's make one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what else you guys got on the burner?
Well, we're already starting to write new music.
Jesus.
I don't understand, man. We are a working band, I guess. I don't know.
Oh,
We've
that's
already got like 2 new songs for the next record. I mean, it's ridiculous.
that's cool though, man. It's awesome.
And it's it's as weird as you would think it would be. You know, like we were listening back to it last weekend because we had recorded some stuff, and that's usually what we'll do. We'll go away, we'll come back and listen to it. Is this still any good? And like, this is better than I remember. You know, and so,
right.
So that's a good sign. But like, you know, I've got stuff I've recorded at home, and we're never short on material, which is good.
That's kick-ass.
You know, so. But right now, the main focus is definitely getting the new set ready for when we start playing out shows in March.
Yeah, that's a tall order.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't even gonna fuck around. That's a tall order.
Right, yeah.
When people hear this, I know, you know, people that you know, that go out to see shows or whatever, and that are fans of yours or whatever, I know that they're gonna be thinking in the back of their head, how are they gonna do this?
Right.
So,
yeah, it's when we start playing shows again. The album will have just came out, probably.
Right.
You know, we're gonna be cutting it close. I know that. But yeah, we're playing South by Southwest next year, and you know, we're playing down in your neck of the
woods. You're coming back here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be seeing my ugly mug again.
Yeah, right. At the mug.
Yeah, no shit.
Yep, at the mug. It'll be in May, I believe.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so excited, man. Travis and I were talking about how excited we were to hit the road again this year because we got this fucking cool record we're really excited about. So wow. Yeah, we're happy with how things are going.
You got a lot to be excited about. I think a lot of people are gonna, you know, I mean, I always think a lot of people are gonna dig, but it is way, you know, different in a lot of aspects. You know, you guys, but that's the cool thing about Gravehuffer is it's like, what's this gonna sound like?
Right. Yeah.
And
that's funny.
You can pop in
that have heard it. Like, I wonder what this is gonna be like because people are starting to get used to us trying different stuff.
Right. And that's what people love that, and they, you know, I mean, yeah, people. You know, they like their bands or their favorite songs or whatever, but you don't have to keep recreating that song for them. Make another new song that's way out of their wheelhouse that makes them like, holy shit, this is, you know, where was this?
Yeah, this is really cool. I've never heard anything quite like this, or this is a cool spin on whatever. You know?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you guys, I like the way you guys are always toying with your own sound, and really you're not afraid to tweak it and step out of your wheelhouse. And I think a lot of bands could really, you know, I think it's easy to do what you know or what's easy. It's not so easy to do something that, you know, you're not. We'll wait to figure out how we're gonna play it live when that time comes. Let's just make the coolest thing we can make, you know, and that's what's cool, you know, and then the live aspect will make it a whole new thing all over again.
Right.
So
yeah, that's Mike and I were talking about that. How bands that used to do that, you know, like like especially those old prog bands like Rush and Yes and stuff like that. Like you go to see them live and it's different. It's different.
Oh, you know? And sometimes they play songs completely different. They would play a song at a whole different tempo. Sometimes.
Yeah.
It would, or it would take you like a quarter of the song to realize what song it was. It's like, wait a minute, I recognize these lyrics.
Right. And it was just a different experience. And to me, that's what is exciting about being into music, you know? Like, I don't want to go to a concert having it sound just like the fucking album.
Right.
You know? I mean, I could just stay home, you know? I mean,
yep.
You know, I don't know. I know it's a cool light show or whatever, but I'm there to hear music, you know, the light show and all that stuff, and you know that's all cool and everything. It's supposed to add to it. It's not supposed to be the thing.
Right. Well, I like the grittiness, you know, but it's like we're also way accustomed to, you know, indie shows and local shows, so that's kind of what we thirst for a lot more. Where, you know, it's the mainstream. They're trying to perfect the live show, and it's like you're going a little far with it. You know, it's like you can only put lipstick on a pig so much. It's still, you know, I mean, and at the end of the day, it's like we want our Motley Crue sounding a little rough sometimes, or heavy, and just loud, and not perfect, or like it's at home.
Right. Yeah.
But
I don't need all the backing tracks and blah 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 to make it sound just like the record.
It gets to be too
somebody
much.
Up there like trying to emulate what they recorded,
right.
on their instrument. To me that's way more interesting. That's just my opinion.
But yeah, that's speaking of that, what do you think about Motley Crue with Johnny Five now?
I love John Five.
Oh yeah, I think he's a good fit. I think he's gonna work. He's just always been a one of them guitarists that's floated around. He's been in Marilyn Manson, a bunch of other bands.
Rob Zombie.
Yep.
Rob Halford.
Yeah.
David Lee Roth. He's played with all these great, crazy. It's crazy all these big singers he's played with.
He's got the chops. I
mean, it's interesting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, honestly, I've never been the biggest Motley Crue fan.
Right,
I do like the first two records a lot. Like, I still listen to those.
I have those on actual vinyl, and they're beautiful.
Yeah, same here. Those are the only two. Well, actually, I got Theater of Pain on vinyl too, but I don't ever listen to it.
Yeah, I used to listen to Smoking in the Boys' Room a lot, and Home Sweet Home, but that was it. The rest of that album.
I remember as a kid when that album came out, how disappointed I was. I'm like 8 years old, and I'm like, what the fuck is this, man? Take Shadow of the Devil. I did not like it. I remember my cousin coming to visit. She had it, and I'm like, oh, what is this? I'm like, Shadow of the Devil,
Right.
I don't know, man. And
yeah, they took a turn right there,
They did, and, I mean, I understand, sometimes.
When the albums went from...
But even the band says that they don't like that record.
So right.
To me, that's...
Well, look at the album compared to all their other ones. It's pink and mauve, and it's, all their other ones are like black, got pentagrams or motorcycles and raw. like, girls and stuff. And what is this? like, it does. It sticks out. It was an over radio played tune. Album. They had the two songs on there. It was basically an album that was cut for the radio, it seems to me. And... they were more concerned about airplay at that. But when you look back at their career or whatever, especially like seeing a movie like The Dirt or whatever, and you see where they were at that time, it makes sense. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, no wonder you don't like that album.
Right, exactly.
I wouldn't like it either if I was you.
Right. They're fucking out of their mind.
I know Gravehuffer ain't going to have one of them.
Right, yeah, I think it's just kind of one of those things where, I don't know, people can tell if you're sincere about your music or not. Mm-hmm. The public is not that. They're just, people think the public are stupid. Man, they're just, a lot of people could smell that from a mile away. It's like,
if people go to a show and see that you're just going through the motions, I don't care how big you are up in the echelon of stardom, people will not like your show.
Oh, yeah.
If you're sincere, maybe even screw up, have fun, that's when people start to, hey, that's not that bad. I like that. Because you look human. You act like a person. People want to see a person on stage, not a robot.
Right, yeah. It's like, it just makes it, it reminds everybody, hey, we're all human, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And I'm the same way, man. I like to see my bands up there having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, they hit a bad note, or whatever, To me, I'm like, it's refreshing. Honestly.
Exactly.
I like hearing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he hit a bad note because he's up there having fun.
Exactly. Like he jumped at that time and went bang. Like, whoa, I love that.
Yeah. It's like, holy shit, that works.
Yeah, something about it.
Yeah, it's, even with you see that a lot with like, some of the mainstream bands. And I get it when they're on these hardcore tours or whatever. You got to go out and go through the motions. And I can see how it gets daunting or whatever. And, but you can also find that sometimes in the, indie scene at some of these festival shows or whatever. There's these bands that just come out and they seem to not even interact and, or have fun. It's like... They would rather be somewhere else, it looks like, and That's just
Yeah,
yeah.
I've definitely have been privy and seen that too. It's like, man,
Especially
why are
when
you here?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
People
I
are
don't,
here
I
to
don't
see
get
you,
that.
and you act like you're bothered by it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. We're all about having fun, though, man. I mean, that's honestly, I mean, our stuff's intense. It's heavy. It's
Mm-hmm.
extreme, whatever. But we still have fun. We don't take ourselves too serious. And you would a lot of people think, oh my God, you wouldn't know it, but if you listen to our stuff, then you'll know there's stuff in there that's a little cheeky and
Right.
fun, and we like to mix it up. Whatever mood we're feeling is what goes into the music. I think it just happened with this last record that the mood. I felt like the mood for this last record was probably a little more not serious, but maybe like because there's always been a couple of songs here and there on all our other records that have been a little more lighthearted.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and
Like shut up and skate and
yeah. I mean, we do have that on this record, with
right.
Slayberry, but because that's about Andy Griffith, like
Of course
getting
it is.
tired of people relying on him, and he's just like, man, fuck this, and he just wipes everybody out.
Goes on a killing spree.
Yeah,
That was
Andy Griffith on a killing spree.
yeah. That was the season that they didn't show us.
Right. Yeah.
That's why it ended so suddenly.
Yeah, exactly. It's just cleansed the neighborhood. Man. It's like, oh my God.
But
yeah.
well, I can definitely like one thing listening to this, and it was something that I like kept like getting a sense of through the whole album was I could tell you guys were really having fun doing like, like there was this sense of whoa, we could do this, and then we could, or what would, I could like just hear that in the music, that you guys were really having fun making different sounds and making different, just whole vibes that are really haunting and stick with you for a bit. And there's just a lot of cool riffs and stuff that, way cool stuff, man. I'm going to be anxious to see how many radio peeps are going to play a 23-minute song.
You know what? That's so funny. I was going to mention that.
I know I am.
I'm curious. I am curious who all's going to play the whole thing. Because the first single we'll probably release is Inferno.
Right.
Just like as an edited version. We'll probably cut out a little of the intro, and then we're going to cut out, Purgatory. But, because we've already got the video and everything for it. It's fucking crazy. I can't wait. And, so it will be something that we'll probably have sectioned out if DJs want it that way. But then we'll also present it the full 22 plus minutes.
Right, yeah.
And just leave it up to the radio stations how they want to do it, because we don't want to like limit ourselves or radio with the length of the song.
Well, you don't want to make people tune out because they're confused or they don't, you know what I'm saying? People just tune into these this screaming and stuff going on.
Right, exactly. Like, what the fucking hell?
Looking at the dial. What station is this? Right. I think I tuned into hell, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn that dang old radio off. I told you it was for the devil.
Right. Because, like, it's funny, like, Purgatory originally, we actually had, like, riffs and music for it, and we were like, man, it just wasn't working for some reason.
Right.
And so that's when we decided to do the whole
strip it down
thing. Yeah, and just do more of a noise thing. And it just made more sense because Purgatory is basically like, what's the definition of Purgatory? Nobody. I mean, it's nothing.
It's well, it's creepy as hell.
Yeah, right. It just exists. There's no like. To me, it would be more terrifying than hell or heaven.
Right.
Well, heaven's, I guess, not terrifying, but actually, that was the hardest part to write was for Paradise.
Right. I can imagine.
Okay, we're a metal band. We're gonna write about
Yay!
How the fuck are we gonna do that? You know?
This is gonna be Gravehuffer's Paradise City, okay?
Yeah, right. You know, so yeah, that was probably the toughest part to write. Was for
You
that.
guys really pulled it off, and that's one of the things too. Is I get a whole sense of the journey. You know, it's I've been through this journey and come out the other side with the song. You know it does efficiently take you through that story that you're trying to paint, and it does it
Right.
in spades. I mean, you guys really did an excellent job.
Thanks, man.
It's impressive, man. I was just, and it like I, I was telling the wife because she came in at the Purgatory. What are you listening to? And I'm like, oh, it's Gravehuffer's new album. She's like, oh, yeah, of course it is, right?
Of course. Well,
Carry on.
Carry on. Yeah. Carry on.
But yeah, I cannot wait to get the vinyl myself because yeah, it's gonna be something I'm gonna really look forward to getting for sure.
Yes, yeah, we got the colors picked out for the variants, and we're gonna have 3 different variants. I
Oh,
think.
cool.
Yeah, and yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna match the artwork like Necroeclosion did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool, and I think this is gonna sound awesome on vinyl. I have a good feeling about it, and then especially putting the Dante side down, and because we're gonna have a lyric sheet that's one side's going to be for the 5 individual pieces, and then Dante's going to have its own side of the sheet. And, there's kind of a map of Dante's Inferno with the lyrics printed over it. And
Right.
We're just hoping it'll take them to that world,
Oh,
And,
it will.
Yeah, right. You were talking about the horns and stuff. The horns were done by the guy, Doug DeSherry. He did the horns for all of Necroeclosion. Same guy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, but he did like tuba, and there's French horn, and trombone, and trumpet. Dude, he did so much stuff. And then the cello was actually a friend of mine from way back in high school days. And she lives in L.A. now. And,
yeah, I was wondering if you did the cello for real, or because it didn't really.
It's real cello.
Yeah, it didn't sound like it was from a keyboard or whatever. I mean, I know nowadays those VSTs, man, they're intense, but
they're pretty, right.
But it just sounded so real.
Yeah, like we wanted to that was another thing when we remixed the final version. Like we're like, man, we just can't really hear the bow of the cello. Like the things we think we kind of being picky over. That was one of them. Like we wanted to hear the cello bow going across the strings, and but her name's Annie Brown, and she's a real good friend, and she put down like 6 tracks of cello. She's playing all these harmonies, and it kind of keeps building and building. And
that's excellent.
I was like, she wrote that.
Wow.
She wrote that whole section.
She did awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I know, it's really cool. She actually went to a studio in LA and had that recorded. Have you ever heard of a band called Crash Karma?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay, it's a 2-piece. It's a guy and then a female drummer. And she sings, and she actually went to our same high school. She's
okay.
A bit younger, so I didn't really know her, but yeah, she went to their studio in LA and had it done. And Crash Karma's guitarist recorded it, and I think they may have even toured with Gold, Frankincense, and Myrrh, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of funny how small the music scene is.
Yeah.
It's like everybody knows everybody through some weird indirect way.
It's a
But yeah,
small
so
world.
that was really cool to have that addition. And then Cam Lee from Massacre, who's down in your neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah.
He recorded the vocals, the last death metal vocal section of Inferno, where it's really fast, right before the solo. Like,
right.
That's him. And basically, he's playing the part of Satan. And so, yeah, that was really cool. He's just spitting out all these fucking really fast death metal vocals. And it was really cool to get him on there.
Hell yeah, man. That's so kick-ass.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun. It's always cool, like I said, collaborating with people that are into it. And, yeah, I think Cam, he even said, he goes, I just got over a cold. I'm like, perfect, man. Your voice will sound fucked up.
That's great.
Yeah, no, it's sure enough, man. His voice sounds fucking gnarly, and so it worked out really good.
That's wicked cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, dude, I gotta tell you, man, I'm excited. I cannot wait to hear everybody's response. I think they're gonna really dig this album, man.
Right on. Yeah, we were pretty somewhat worried, I guess. Like did we
It's
go
understandable.
Too far, you know what I mean? So, but we've had a few people reassure us that you guys have been kind of going weird for a little while now. Demon Face, Stalingrad's Cross.
Exactly.
DJ Zach said that. He's like, I can kind of tell when you guys released those songs that you guys were starting to throw in some odd things here and there. And so it's not a surprise to me. So I was like, phew.
Be surprised if it wasn't kind of weird.
Yeah, right. Damn.
At this point.
Yeah. Do we do something straightforward next time?
Throw him a curveball.
Yeah, right. This just sounds like an AC/DC.
Yeah, just straight metal song.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just don't know if that's anything we'll ever do. I don't know. We don't really plan these things, We just go by whatever we're feeling at the time. So I couldn't tell you what the new shit's gonna sound like, but
It's gonna be cool.
Who knows what it's gonna be like? I mean, I guarantee you it's gonna be weird. That's one thing I can probably assure you is we'll probably just keep being weirdos.
That's awesome. That's what we need. Those Gravehuffer weirdos making more music.
That's right. Keep being a weirdo normalized. Keep being a weirdo. Be weird, everybody.
Stay weird, man.
Stay weird, man. It's all good.
Oh, well, all right, Ritchie. It's been a blast talking to you, man.
Yes, sir.
I cannot wait
here,
until you give me the go-ahead and tell me what tunes I can play, because, I cannot wait for people to hear this. They're going to love it, dude.
I know. Dude, I'm the same way. I'm like, because we've been sitting on this record since, like, June.
Oh, yeah.
So we're like, Jesus Christ. And it's, like, killing me, or all of us, really, not to be able to...
show it to people.
We can talk about it-ish, but, like... We haven't been able, we can't send the artwork out yet. We can't tell people, go ahead and start playing this and that. And I'm like, ooh. So we're chomping at the bit too, man. So
that's awesome.
I hear you.
That's kick-ass, man.
Right on.
Well, all right, man. It's been a blast talking to you. I will catch you on the flip side. Everybody out there, go to Gravehuffer over on the Bandcamps, Facebooks, all the places. Primarily, though, go over to Bandcamp, show some support, tell everybody about. They still got Necro Eclosion over there, physical copies, all that stuff. So get on over there. All right, Ritchie. I will catch you on the flip side, brother. Thanks again.
Thanks, Joe. Have a good day, man.
You too, man. Bye.
See ya.